Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for, well, I don't know if they wanted me to use their username because when the request was sent, it was just their full name, which began with Andrew. So sorry if you wanted to use your username. I wasn't sure about that. To some people, they either want their name or their username, and I never know which one to use unless I'm specifically told, so I apologize if you want the other, but they sent a request through PayPal for me to do a commentary on The Lion King, the original. Thank you so much for that. I'm sorry about the wait. I'm trying to get to these as soon as I possibly can, but thank you for your patience. For anyone that wants to request any type of movie, review, re-review, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, a full playthrough, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. So for those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. Now, I definitely know of the film. I have the subtitles on. I'm paused at the beginning. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Here we have 2 seconds, 3 seconds. We have the Disney logo popping up. This is when Disney was worth a spit. Not anymore. Now you want to be on that train back there getting the fuck out of Disney. But this is, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. After this you had Mulan, Tarzan, Hunchback of Notre Dame. A lot of good ones in the 90s. Aladdin is my favorite of that animated Disney era, but this is fairly close. Beautiful opening with the sun. Wait, is this Black Panther? Am I watching? Because when I saw Black Panther, I'm like, is this a remake of The Lion King? Because the story kind of is a remake of The Lion King in a way. But, of course, there was a live action remake, and I say live action because every damn thing about it was CGI, so I don't know how much is live action when everything is a computer graphic, but okay. Such a pointless remake too. Stuff was extended that wasn't needed to be extended, that wasn't interesting. None of the new songs hit any kind of piece to be memorable. There's not a damn person that remembers a new song from that movie. But it made $1 billion, so they made more, and then they got a prequel that was not worth a shit either. Mufasa. Like, this stuff works better in animation. It's consistent. You have this one look, so you're not taken out where it's supposed to be live action, but you've seen all this CG, but it's trying to be real, but you can tell it's not real, and it's wonky, and your mind is now gravitating towards other aspects instead of just getting into the visuals and the story. Like this. Which obviously this is a level of peace these animals have. Now, obviously at some point one hunts the other, because otherwise how do they eat? But but great music by Elton John and company. And of course you had James Earl Jones as Mufasa. I don't know, if I was a kid and I saw that face, I'd be scared out of my mind. I'm like, this ugly fuck, what's he gonna do with me? And now he's wiping shit on my face. Now he's pouring dirt on my face. I'm like, who is this asshole? He's putting shit on my fur. He's gonna be mad at. Now he's blowing dust in my face, like it's dust in the wind. I'd be like, who the fuck is this guy and what the fuck's he doing? And leave me the fuck alone. Now I started throwing my ass off this cliff. This baby's like, I'm having a bad day. It's throwing food on my face. It's throwing dirt in my face. And now it's going to throw my ass off a cliff. For all these people ready to look like they want to eat me. And they're getting pissed off. If I'm this kid, I'd be scared out of my mind. I'd be scared out of my britches. I'm like, oh my god, he's going to drop me. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill my ass. Yeah, it does seem like there should be a bit of a... I mean, this is such a memorable opening. No dialogue. Not needed. Like, that right there could be the teaser for the movie. But yeah, it makes you wonder... And of course, Jeremy Irons is just great as Star. Jeremy Irons just has that pompous, kind of holier-than-thou attitude that fits well with Star. Just blends with evil. And yeah, Jeremy Irons was just such a good choice for the villain. Yeah, of course, Jeremy Irons, I always remember him as Simon from Die Hard with a Vengeance, and he's been in a lot of other stuff. But again, Star in this movie, I could say, is considered one of the best villains. Kind of this faux pas, just, oh yes, oh dear. Like he's subservient and submissive, but you tell there's a bit of a edge and danger to him. And of course, James Earl Jones just has that powerhouse voice. I mean, James Earl Jones, of course, the voice of Darth Vader, Field of Dreams, he was in The Sandlot. Just so many stuff that James Earl Jones did. He was in a lot of the Jack Ryan films. Two really good actors going toe to toe. And yeah, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Rest in peace, to him, man. And such a great actor, done so many wonderful things. I mean, just not just as the voice of Darth Vader, but hell, he had a bit part in Doctor Strangelove. Hell, the first time I saw him, because I heard him in Star Wars, the first time I saw him was this film called Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold. As a guy helping out Richard Chamberlain. So that was my first time I saw him physically in a movie. And then Coming to America as the dad, the teen, Best of the Best, The Hunt for Red October. He's in this fun Larry Cohen film called The Ambulance. Sneakers, that's a pretty good one. I like Sneakers. Excessive Force. I saw that much later in life. That's a pretty good film. I forgot some of the stuff he was in. Yeah, Coming to America 2. Yeah, some of this stuff, man. Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins, which I forgot about that movie. But I mean, this has a really good voice cast. Which I know people later on got pissed. Oh, the movie takes place in Africa, but most of the cast is white. Oh, you mean like James Earl Jones? And Whoopi Goldberg? And Robert Gulami, who plays Rafiki? I keep wanting to say ape, as the mandrill is the more correct term. He's the one who's I guess, the shaman. He's the one that put all the shit on Simba, the dirt and food. But Robert Golami, I mean, he was in a lot of stuff. People remember him from the TV show Benson, but I remember him from, he was in a Jean-Claude Van Damme film called Death Warrant. He was in, what was it? Wanted Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer. So I remember him from those films. I would say Death Warrant was my first introduction to Robert Galami. He's kind of like the more wise prisoner who tries to help Van Damme out. I forgot the voice of this bird. Of course, I should mention that the voice of the young Simba is Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Which he was a bit of a thing for a bit of time, especially from the TV show Home Improvement. Of the three kids, he seemed to be the one. He was the kid in the middle, but he got, I would say, the more attention of the three kids. Whether it was because of his looks or his demeanor, or he was the one that would get cast a bit more in the movies. He's the one that I think they figured maybe he would be the next Macaulay Culkin. That's what it seemed like at the time they wanted him to be. So he was in Man of the House, which I haven't seen that film in forever. But that was with Chevy Chase. I remember not minding it for what it was. He was in Tom and the Huck, which I reviewed with him and Brad Renfro, which I thought was okay. There was that one Pinocchio movie that he was in, which I think Steve Barron, the guy who did the 90s, the first Ninja Turtles movie, directed. Wild America, he was in, which had Devon Sawa in it. A lot of those films didn't do well, though. Like Tom and Huck, I don't think did well. Wild America didn't do too well. And I think after that, it kind of died up a bit. And I think Home Improvement ended. It ended about late 90s. And I think after that, he kind of just went his own way and did another course of business. In 2000, he enrolled at Harvard University, studied philosophy and history, spent abroad in Scotland. 2010, he graduated from the Columbia University School of General Studies. Wow, 10 years? He graduated in 10 years. Well, he enrolled in Harvard, but he graduated from Columbia University, so he studied for a bit. So there you go. I know he appeared in episode 2 of Tim Allen's other show, Last Man Standing. I'm having a bath. See, this kind of stuff with the faces and the movements and the looks, they just they look much more. They don't look as weird and as funky as if you try to do a live action. Because in live, well, again, I keep saying live action. Just with the live action, it's like the animals are supposed to have this realistic look, but then they can't have as much emotion on their face. Because in animation, their eyes get bigger, smaller, really move their movements of their mouths. You can really tell how they're sad, mad, happy, all that jazz. Like right there, when they kind of look at each other, go, and their eyes are more dim. Even this here, where they're like more confused. He's like, huh? Or here they're disgusted and what they do with their tongue. I mean, it's much, I don't want to say easier, but it's much more easy for the viewer to get a sense of their emotion, which brings more life to their character, brings more life and more of an array of emotions to their character because of the animation. That's why this stuff works better in animation. Same with, say, the film was Zootopia. If you did that film Zootopia, since people are like, oh, you only care about older films. Well, Zootopia, I would say, is a newer kind of film. Was it 2016 or so when it came out? I can't remember the year. If you did that live action, it wouldn't work either. Now, of course, this is not Jonathan Taylor singing. It's Jason Weaver, which I guess he played Michael Jackson in the 1992 miniseries The Jacksons: An American Dream. And of course, this song, I Just Can't Wait to Be Teen. Oh, this is interesting. The role was initially offered for a flat fee of $2 million, but his mom said, actually, get $100,000, but get a percentage of the royalties. And because of the soundtrack and the success of all the other stuff, he got a lot more money because of that. So, good on the mom. The mom definitely must have had a feeling like, if this works, it's going to work gangbusters, and you're going to get a lot more than just $2 million. So, see, with this stuff with animation, I mean, because you could do all these different aspects with the color scheme, the background, where, okay, the background, why is the background yellow and why is it orange? Well, we're able to forgive that because it's animation, and it makes more of a colorful palette. It makes it more visually interesting. While in live action, your brains go, well, that's not how it would look in real life, and that's not how you look. It's like, hey, Rhino, you get up, you fat ass. Get up. Almost maybe he was bribed. Sit on him until we get the hell out of here. And keep sitting on him. Now it says here, the origin of the concept is widely disputed. One person says that time, feature animation vice president for creative affairs, Charlie Fink, he said he approached Jeffrey Katzenberg, Roy E. Disney, and Peter Schneider for a Bambi in Africa idea with lions. He said Jeffrey Katzenberg said the idea was stupid, but said, okay, go ahead and develop a mythos for it. How lions service to other animals by eating them. During a conversation, the topic of a story set in Africa came up, and Katzenberg immediately jumped at the idea. Decided to add elements involving coming of age and death, and ideas from personal life experiences, such as some of his trials in his career in politics. Then in 1988, the author of The Brave Little Toaster had met with Fink and Roy E. Disney to discuss the idea, and he had written a 9-page treatment entitled King of the Kalahari. Throughout 1989, several Disney staff writers, including Jenny Tripp, Tim Disney, Valerie West, and Miguel Tejeda Flores, have written treatments for the project. Tripp's treatment, dated on March 2nd, 1989, introduced his name Simba for the main character, who gets separated from his pride and is adopted by Kwashi, a baboon, and Mabu, a mongoose. Later raised in the community of baboons, Simba battles an evil jackal and reunites with his pride. More developments were done. Several trips to LA Zoo to observe animal behavior. They turned the script to Ronald Baz, who won the Oscar for Rain Man. The new script was retitled Teen of the Beast and completed in 1990. Then Linda Wolverton, who was also writing Beauty and the Beast, spent a year writing several drafts of the script, which went from Teen of the Beast to Teen of the Jungle. In that one, the plot centered on a battle between lions and baboons, with Scar being the leader of the baboons, Rafiki being a cheetah instead, and Timon and Pumbaa being Simba's childhood friends. Simba would not only leave the kingdom, but become a lazy, horrible character due to the manipulations from Scar, so Simba could be overthrown after coming of age. Producer Thomas Schumacher, who completed Rescuers Down Under, decided to attach himself to the project because lions are cool. Then George, who directed Oliver and Company, he was the initial director. They worked on it more and more so. Some people left, other people joined. Someone found the script unfocused and lacking a clear theme, and after establishing the main theme as leaving childhood and facing up to the realities of the world, asked for a final retool. Stories rewritten. They got the directors of Beauty and the Beast. One of the ideas stemmed from the meetings they had was Mufasa returning as a ghost. Rafiki became from a more serious court advisor into a wacky shaman. King of the Jungle was changed to the Lion King, as the setting was not the jungle but the savannah. Mufasa and Scar were made to be brothers, as the writers felt it was much more interesting if the threat came from someone within the family. Michael Eisner felt the story could be more Shakespearean, model it after King Lear. Then someone said, well, it should be more like Hamlet. Then Katzenberg said, put as much Hamlet as you can, but they felt it was too forced. To replace Allers and Minkoff, who were now attached, met with numerous screenwriters, including Billy Bob Thornton and Joss Whedon, to discuss writing the new screenplay. During the summer of 1992, Irene Mecke was hired as a new screenwriter, and months later she was joined by Jonathan Roberts. Mecke and Roberts took charge of the revision process, fixing unresolved emotional issues in the script and adding comedic situations for Pumbaa, Timon, and the hyenas. Tim Rice worked closely with the screenwriting team, as his songs for the film needed to work in the narrative continuity. His lyrics were pinned to the storyboards during development. Rewrites were frequent, with animator Andreas saying that completed scenes would be delivered, only for the response to be that parts need to be reanimated because of the dialogue changes. It's supposed to come out Thanksgiving 1993, but because of the rewrites, it was pushed back to summer 1994. Nathan Lane auditioned for Zazu, which was the bird, and Ernie Sabella for one of the hyenas. Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella had starred together in the Broadway production of Guys and Dolls. They were asked to record together as the hyenas. And they said, wait, these guys work together, so let's have them as Timon and Pumbaa. So for the hyenas, they wanted to reunite Cheech and Chong. Cheech Marin agreed, but Tommy Chong was unavailable. So instead, it changed to a female, Whoopi Goldberg. Rowan Atkinson did Zazu. I forgot about that. The bird. It's weird because he's not in the credits here on Wikipedia. Matthew Broderick became the older Simba. Of course, that's much later in the film. He only recorded with another actor once over the 3 years he worked on the film. So other people that are up for star was Tim Curry, Malcolm McDowell, Alan Rickman, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen. Alan Rickman would have been a great choice, but I think Jeremy Irons was perfect. And yeah, the hyenas, you got Cheech Marin, you got Whoopi Goldberg, and Jim Cummings being the third one, who at one point was the official voice of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. I think he has his own podcast now on YouTube, Jim Cummings. And yeah, when this film came out, it was humongously successful. I mean, that's why you had like direct-to-video follow-ups, and I think even those direct-to-videos became some of the more popular videos of all time. In fact, let me see, highest grossing VHS of all time. I believe The Lion King, all of them are there. Yeah, The Lion King, I believe, is number one. Yeah, it says here, the best-selling films across all physical home video, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, The Lion King is number one. Supposedly making $852 million. 32 from VHS. Well, actually, wait a minute. Well, okay, so I think that's... See, I never know what this. I know with Wikipedia, you never know. Some of this could be wrong, but yeah, The Lion King is up there as number one. That's what it says here. Finding Nemo number 2, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs number 3, Aladdin number 4. The first non-Disney is Titanic, which I can believe. And then somewhere on this list, yeah, VHS, The Lion King. I'm actually surprised. Yeah, it seems like Aladdin sequels. You had The Lion King. There you go. The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride is definitely on the list. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's in the top 20 highest grossing VHS. The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride. So, which would make sense. A lot of these films, the kids really love this stuff. So the families go, well, it didn't go into theaters. The kids want more Lion King. We buy the VHS, we pop it in. So if we need to do something, put in for however long, 90 minutes or so. They get entertained. We do our stuff. We relax. They stop crying. Stop being a baby. And go on from there. But yeah, a lot of these songs work very well. Just the staging of this, like you see the whole army of the hyena. You just see how many of them there are. And I mean, almost seems like the Third Reich with how they're I mean, that's obviously with the way they're marching with the feet going like this. I know it's marching, but with how high they're kicking it, that if that doesn't make you think of the Third Reich, I don't know what does. And see, with animation, you did away with this logically, where it's like, well, how come these things are coming out of the ground, and how come he knew to get on this one pedestal, and how did he know that it was going to rise right up to the top, be grandiose, and you don't really go into logic with cartoons. You don't have to. But with live action, even if you think it's goofy and silly, there's that part of your brain that goes, wait a minute, that wouldn't happen. And you really have to rework your brain. So if it's like the Three Stooges short, or Ernest, Jim Varney, it's okay, this is a cartoon room. You have to look at it that way. But animation seems just easier to resign your brain into thinking in that fashion. And then very, very cool sequence, very imaginative. Definitely brings a bit of a darker feeling and quality, sinister quality to Scar. And also because the way the designs are, you could easily go, yep, that's Scar. How the fur is different and the coloring of the mane is different and darker, and you see the Scar there and how green those eyes are. It's a lot harder to differentiate in the remake. And I just think the voice acting is so much better. And just how he's manipulating this guy. Completely manipulating. And yeah, when this film came out, it did, like I said, Dame Buster business. And there's been re-releases, there's a 3D conversion, VHS, Laserdisc, all sorts of physical formats. At the time, it was the highest grossing animated film of all time. It was the highest grossing film of 1994. It was the second highest grossing film of all time at that time after Jurassic Park. I think Independence Day took that spot a few years later. It was the fifth highest grossing film of the 1990s, domestically that is. It held the record for the highest grossing animated film until Finding Nemo. Again, some nice piece of direction with the camera pushing into Simba's scared face, and you just see this impending doom. You just see how big and massive this whole stampede is, and you really could tell the danger of what it would be if you're caught in the middle of this shit. And he has a good story too, because like for Simba, he didn't mean anything, he didn't do anything wrong, but because the way Star manipulates, Simba thinks he killed his dad, it's his fault, so he needs to run away, so then Star becomes the leader. And for Star, it's like either the kid dies, or his brother die, or they both die, and he'll win anyway. Just really good animation too. A lot of it still holds up to this day. Very ambitious. And I mean, the death of Mufasa was definitely something that I'm sure a lot of kids felt at the time. It's not the first time that there's been death in a Disney film. Of course, going back to Bambi's mother back in the day. But maybe for a bit, people felt, okay, the studio, maybe they'll be a bit complacent, and yeah, at the same time, it fits with the story, fits with what's going on, and this is definitely one of the premier Long Live the King. Just such a sinister asshole thing. Again, very dynamic. With the camera movements, whether the push-ins or the pullbacks. Definitely a good emotional turn into the story. And if you take out the end credits, where I want not quite the halfway mark, but close to it. So you definitely get that inciting, not inciting, but that big moment where things are definitely going to change. Because it's pretty soon after, when he runs off, he'll meet Timon and Pumbaa. A little bit of dialogue between the two, and then we'll see him as an adult. Again, the voice actors do their jobs fairly well. The combination of Elton John and Tim Rice did a lot of great music. It won the Oscar for Best Score. Hans Zimmer. I mean, Hans Zimmer, love Hans Zimmer. One of my favorite composers. Especially for the stuff he did in the 90s. I mean, the score for this is good, but my favorite is probably Broken Arrow. But he did Days of Thunder, he did Crimson Tide, he did The Rock, or he worked on The Rock. A lot of great work. A lot of great work during that time. And then Can You Feel the Love Tonight is the song that won. Which is, it's funny, like 3 of the songs were nominated for Best Original Song. I'm kind of surprised Can You Feel the Love Tonight is the one that got the award. I would have felt Circle of Life is the best song. I think Circle of Life just has that emotional core to it. I don't mind the song Can You Feel the Love Tonight, but all of those songs I would have felt Circle of Life would have won, but oh well. This before they did the whole, we're going to have a separate category for Best Animated Film for the Oscars. I'm sure if that was around at this point, it would have won Because what would have been the competition? In fact, I'm curious. 1994 animated films. The other animated films in 1994, I want to make sure I get this right, is A Troll in Central Park, which made $70,000. Came out October 94. Yeah, that didn't quite work. Did it? There's stuff that went direct to video. There's more anime. Yeah, anime and direct to video. That's funny, there was a film called The Jungle King by Sony Wonder. Gee, I wonder what that was a reference to. The Land Before Time 2, direct to video. The Page Master, I forgot about that movie. And I don't think that was like live action and animated. That didn't do the best. The Return of Jafar, which was direct to video. Scooby-Doo and Arabian Nights. Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Thumbelina. Man, Don Bluth was not having a good year, was he? Because A Troll in Central Park bombed in October of 94. This came out March of 94, and this bombed as well. So yeah, Don Bluth was not having a good year. He had 2 films, they both were massive bombs. Yeah. Yeah, didn't work out well for Don Bluth. So yeah, I mean, there's like no competition for it. But yeah, here we have Nathan Lane, Timon and Pumbaa. Fun batch of characters. Nathan Lane, I always remember from The Bird Cage. And Ernie Sabella, what else did he do? He was on the TV show Perfect Strangers. He was on the show Saved by the Bell. Oh, that's right. I forgot. He was the doctor in Fright Night Part 2. He was a guy trying to make Charlie Brewster think that the stuff in the first film didn't happen. Which I always thought was kind of a weird thing, but, you know. I guess some people could argue maybe it was like... Some people may argue he was a vampire all along and he was kind of hypnotizing Charlie into thinking that way. Which, if that was the case, that would at least make a bit more sense. Like, this was a big plan all along. Maybe. If it was like that, I think they could have explained that a bit better. But yeah, Fright Night 2, yeah. That's when I first saw that guy. He was in Mouse Hunt. He was in the film In and Out. He would voice Pumbaa again in The Lion King 2 and The Lion King 1.5. So... I forgot there's a Timon and Pumbaa TV show that lasted 3 seasons. 85 episodes. Which Ernie Sabella reprised his role for the whole run, but Nathan Lane was only in it for 10 episodes. I wonder why. Sorry, I'm kind of going down this road. I'm curious if they mention why Nathan Lane only did the first 10 episodes. I can't find it here. I don't know. It's not saying here, so I don't know. Maybe it was some kind of contract dispute. Maybe he's like, I only have time to do 10 episodes. Well, I don't know. But yeah, these two are likable characters. I know throughout the years, and especially that new film, there's the idea of, well, maybe they're gay and maybe they're a gay couple. Who gives a fuck? They're cartoon characters. And apparently, if you are with another male, then automatically that means you must be gay. Okay. So I guess that makes Abbott and Costello gay. I guess that made Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis gay. I guess that meant Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, when they did together, they must be gay too. I know there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just now you're trying to force stuff in there, and instead of being natural and stuff. Now, of course, this is one of the other memorable songs, Hakuna Matata. But they definitely hit the lightning in the bottle with the songs here, where like every song works very well. Every song, people remember Circle Alive. People remember Hakuna Matata. People remember Can You Feel the Love Tonight. Because sometimes you know, maybe one song hits or two songs, but here it's like every song hit. And it just works very well. And sometimes, not often, but you get one of those movies that just has that combination. The animation works very well, the voice cast is spot on, the story has enough heart, humor, and emotion, and sense of fun. And then you're able to enjoy it for 80 some minutes. Good songs all around. I just say bugs are one thing we can eat. I guess it's like, well, they gotta eat something, and we can't really have them eat other animals, so bugs are the way to go. And yeah, here we have our transition to... I forgot who's the singing voice for the adult. Joseph Williams provided Simba's singing voice. Joseph Williams, who... Oh, is the son of John Williams. I didn't realize that. John Williams, who did the music for Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So yeah, his son is the lead vocalist of the band Toto. I didn't realize that, because yeah, I get Williams, but just because you have the same last name doesn't mean you're related. That'd be like, oh, John Williams and Robin Williams, and you know, they were related too. No, but okay, cool. I did not realize that the guy who sang the adult Simba was also the lead vocalist of the band Toto, and that he was the son of John Williams. That's cool. Learn something new every day. So Joseph Williams was the writer of the original lyrics for the songs that the Ewoks do in Return of the Jedi. Hmm. He's saying the vocals for the theme song of the cartoon Gummy Bears, which I remember that. I do remember. I do remember that show. In The Lion King, he did be heard singing the voice of the adult Simba, singing the songs Hakuna Matata and Can You Feel the Love Tonight. So that's cool. It does seem like when people talk about The Lion King, they do talk more about the first half with the young Simba. And it seems like they don't talk as much about the second half with the adult Simba. Maybe that's just me, but it just seems like they talk more about the. I don't know, it's because they like Jonathan Taylor Thomas's performance more than Matthew Broderick, or because you have so much development of the story. So you have, the playful parts with the young Simba. You have the parts with James Earl Jones. I don't know. Of course, the irony here is that Pumbaa, being the dumb one, he's actually right about all this. He's right about the stars. So that's the irony of it all. I've heard some people say that of all the voice work that Matthew Broderick, some people consider him the weakest. I didn't mind his performance. I thought it was fine. Matthew Broderick, though, is one of those actors that have this kind of iffy thing about, because I'll go into it because why not? As an actor, I do like him in a lot of stuff. He was good in War Games. He was good in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was good in The Cable Guy. I thought he was fine in this role. As a person, for those who don't know, I think the late 80s or early 90s, somewhere around there, he was overseas. I forget her name, the girl from Dirty Dancing, Jennifer Grey. And they were driving, he was driving more correctly. And something about he accidentally went in the wrong lane and then crashed the car. The people in the other car died. He was injured pretty badly, but the other people in the car died. And supposedly he got amnesia about that. Like, he didn't remember what happened. He didn't remember what happened at all. And the whole thing is very sketchy to me. I understand it's an accident. It wasn't done on purpose. But then it seemed like it tried to be brushed under the rug, and I don't know. It depends how the family members feel. If they feel they've let go, then what right do I have to say about it? But just the whole thing rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know. I mean, again, supposedly he didn't remember anything about it. So I guess that's why you never heard him say sorry about, I don't know. Like, the whole thing, I understand it's an accident, but still, I don't know how to word it, man. I don't know. I'll just drop it. Fuck it. So they definitely do hunt and kill animals to eat, because she's doing it to this one. So Moira Kelly plays Nala, who we have here. Now it says Moira Kelly. Is this the adult or the younger the younger version? No, it would have been the adult version because she was born in 1968. So she was also in The Lion King 2, The Lion King 1.5. She was on the TV show One Tree Hill. Okay, she was the star of The Cutting Edge. I remember not minding that film with her and with D.B. Sweeney. The Cutting Edge was the film where she was this figure skater and she was like a spoiled brat. So no one wants to work with her. So this guy who's with the hockey team, eventually some stuff happens and then they gotta work together as a team, saying if you want to go to Olympics you gotta work as a team. And you know they get mad at each other, then they start liking each other, then they start being a couple together. I do remember not minding The Cutting Edge. I remember having some fun with that role. So I forgot she was the star of that movie. It's been a while since I've seen that film. I know if it's been a while and I've only seen the film once, so many things try to remember in this deflated brain of mine. So just look up some stuff. It has an 8.5 on IMDb. And I'm just looking up the directors, what they've done. Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff. What you two going to do? Watch? I'll get to that back in a minute. I'm just watching the scene here with the characters. And granted, like a lot of Disney films, you know, they needed like the comedic side characters. So you had in Beauty and the Beast, you had like the candlestick and the other characters. In Aladdin, you had the magic carpet or the monkey or the parrot for Jafar. In Hunchback of Notre Dame or Notre Dame, some people pronounce it that way, you had the gargoyles. You just said Hercules, you had Maybe Danny DeVito would have fit that. Damn, well, you don't do Drowner? Polar ass in. There's a shot in here that I've heard people say like the weirdest stuff about. That's why I'm kind of pausing. I think it's after this fall is that they have this bit here where she looks up. Yeah, that pose there, that's like, come get some. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to think about that with animals are cartoon characters, but that is something that happened because of the internet. God damn the internet, sometimes they like to ruin. I mean, I get that is what they're doing. I mean, come on, the song is "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" Yeah, they're feeling it, all right. In her ass or in her cooch. Toast to them. Have fun getting lucky. Mazel tov. Have fun getting laid. Anyway, but I mean, yeah, yeah. Anyway, the two directors, Roger Allers, would afterward do Open Season. Yes, the one with Ashton Kutcher and Martin Lawrence, which I haven't seen that film in forever. And some short films, some of them called The Prophet from 2014. Not a whole lot, considering he did The Lion King. I guess he helped work on a video game, The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride video game, The Little Match Girl short film, Open Season, and then Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. Now, Rob Minkoff, I know he's done a bit more, because he did Stuart Little 2. Oh, that's right, he did The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy, which I'm not a fan of. I thought that was one of Eddie's weaker films. The Forbidden Kingdom, I'm like, why did you get... Listen, The Lion King's great. You don't get that guy to do a martial arts film with Jackie Chan and Jet Li finally getting together, and you don't get a guy who knows about action. You get the guy who did The Lion King. Again, The Lion King is great. The Lion King's a classic, but that's not the guy you get to do it. I would not get the guy who made Aladdin to do a fucking John Wick movie. I would not get the guy who did Wall-E to do a Predator film. Although I guess with the way they make them nowadays, it couldn't be too much worse. But The Forbidden Kingdom was so disappointing. Such a disappointing movie. He did Mr. Peabody and Sherman in 2014, and he did Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank in 20... I don't know why I said that way. 2022. Paws of Fury. Which I never saw that. Michael Cera, Sam Jackson, Ricky Gervais, Mel Brooks, George Takei, or some say George Takei. Yeah, George Takei. I always thought it was George Takei, but some people say it is George Takei. Gabriel Iglesias, Michelle Yeoh. Wow, okay, some recognizable people there. So it was in theaters, but it didn't do anything. So there you go. Now you don't get to one of the big. I guess I don't know if I want to say one of the big scenes, but definitely a scene. Well, okay, we're not there yet. I think of the bit with you see James Earl Jones. Sorry, I have to respond. One of those scenes, you gotta do multiple things at once. But anyway. And not just animated. I mean, 1994 was a good year for movies in general, not just for animated films. I mean, if I looked at just films in general in 1994, I mean, you had Pulp Fiction, you had The Shawshank Redemption, you had Forrest Gump, you had the film Speed, True Lies, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. Then Ace Ventura, wasn't that the beginning of the year? Because I think that was Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, then The Mask, then Dumb and Dumber. Now, you had a lot of films. I mean, just to name a few. Yeah, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, which is a classic. There's a lot of films I like. There's The Chase with Charlie Sheen. There's The Ref with Dennis Leary. Surviving the Game with Ice-T. There's The Crow, of course. A lot of good stuff throughout the this year. Speed, I mentioned. That's an absolute. I love that film. That's one of my favorite action films. True Lies is great. I like Forrest Gump. A lot of people throughout the years have liked it less and less. I still like Forrest Gump. Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction are classics. Even In the Army now I like. Yes, even with Pauly Shore. Time Cop, Ed Wood. A lot of good stuff throughout this year, man. But anyway. Yeah, this is a big scene people remember for good reason. The dad telling the son. I always remember the parody also in The Simpsons where like James Earl Jones, but then it's was it Simpson? What was it? Was it The Simpsons or was it something else? Where it's like Simba. I can't remember now. That's gonna bother me. Yeah, okay, it was. It was The Simpsons with Lisa Simpson. Because Lisa, yeah, Bleeding Gums Murphy, the saxophone player who Lisa Simpson loved and adored, he passed away, and he appears in the clouds. And then Mufasa appears. And then Darth Vader appears. And then James Earl Jones, this is CNN. I always remember that. I always remember the this is CNN. Which I didn't even know he did that because I never watched CNN. But yeah, he did this is CNN tagline for many years. But see, I did. I didn't even know because I never fucking followed CNN. But there you go. I wanted to make sure because like, was that The Simpsons? Yeah, it is. So it's been a long time since I've seen that episode. But I was right. I remember a few things still in this brain of mine. At least a little bit. A little bit. That's going to kick him in the gear, give him the kick in the ass he needs to finally take back his land. You know, if you wanted to do a remake, well, they did a remake. If you looked into more of how the land works with, okay, well, this animal hunts this animal, how does that work? Like, how come, who choose to live and die based on who gets hunted? Like, is it a free-for-all? Like, how does that work? Like, if a zebra, it's like, well, I don't want to get eaten by one of you lions. It's like, well, what the hell do you eat then? Here you see that's just eating too much, not letting anything flourish, not letting anything grow and graze. A fucking wasteland. But at the same time, was it like a lottery you pick and you got the wrong number. Now it's your time to be eaten. So it makes you wonder, like, how does this whole thing go? Even if it's going well, how does it go? I mean, you say the circle of life all you want, but if you're the one being eaten, then you're not going to feel that happy about the whole circle of life. You don't tell the circle of life to go fuck itself. Make it a triangle instead. Fuck your circle. It's your square. How about that? Make a whole damn square of it. And yeah, just very vibrant images throughout the film. They did a lot of good work. And it's not a long film. Like, again, it's an hour and 12 minutes in. We have 16 minutes left. That's with the credits. Not every film needs to be 2 fucking hours long. How long was the other remake? An hour and 58 minutes. An hour and 58 minutes. Like, for some reason, it had to be 30 minutes longer than the original. And can anyone remember what the fuck that 30 minutes was that was so crucial to be added into it? I mean, I guess you could say, well, it wasn't a carbon copy, because they added 30 minutes. Yeah, they added 30 minutes that no one fucking remembers. Because I sure as fuck don't remember what those 30 minutes were. Let's see. So I'm just looking to see what the differences are. I forgot that in the new one, Pumbaa farts, and he actually gets to fart and sees the word farted. No wonder I forgot about it. Beyonce had a new song that no one fucking remembers and no one gave a shit about. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck the remake. Fuck the remake. Again, I know a lot of people, they're not big on Matthew Broderick's performance. I mean, is there someone you could get that's better? I'm sure there are. I just can't think of them right now. I'd have to see what the list of possibilities there were at this time period. Of course, being in a similar position that his dad was. And finding out what happened. That's a big mistake, because what you did was give him motivation. I mean, all you did was give him motivation to be pissed off and kick your fucking ass. Definitely a badass moment for Rafiki. They're not holding back. I mean, they're going to that fire. I mean, they're not getting lightly toasted. Nah, you don't want to mess with that. Definitely a nice badass moment for Pumbaa. So where the fuck are you going, scaredy cat? You big pussy, you pussy, you giant pussy. It's a burning ring of fire. I did. I don't mind Matthew Broderick in the role. Are there, like I said, are there possible better choices? Sure, but even if I hear those choices or figure out those choices, would they work well in a voice capacity? Maybe because when you see the other adults, you see Jeremy Irons and you hear his voice and you hear James Earl Jones, and they have such power and intensity that Matthew Broderick doesn't have as strong of that personality. You know, now that I think about, I mean, he was doing another movie. James Spader would have been a good voice. James Spader, man. Can you imagine James Spader as the voice of Simba? James Spader could have really done it, you know. But I'm a sucker for James Spader. I've always been a fan of his. Oh, there you go. I think that's one of the movies you have to do in the video game. Just, of course, this did get video games, like a lot of Disney properties. And I never played it, but I heard that it's a bit of a tough game. It was for Genesis, it was also for Super Nintendo, MS-DOS, Game Gear, NES. I never played any of them. Never played any of the Lion King games. I think... Wasn't it at one point put into a... I think they did like maybe not a remaster, but I swear they did something else with that game. Maybe not, I don't know. Yeah, there's a PS4 Disney Classics, Aladdin and the Lion King for PS4. I was thinking they did something like that. Damn, there's a lot. There's Game Boy, there's Super Nintendo, Genesis, Lion King 1.5 for Game Boy Advance. Huh. Yeah, never played any of them. So, take that for you will. But see, they follow a lot of that formula too, where you can't have the hero kill the villain. That's a stipulation they had for a lot of these movies, where you can't have the hero kill the villain. So, for example, Hunchback of Notre Dame, it was, oh, he doesn't kill the villain. The villain is trying to do something, and like the rope breaks or something like that. In Aladdin, you don't kill Jafar. You put him in the lamp. In what was it? Even Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they don't kill the queen. It's just this chase, and then goes off the cliff or something because of the weather or going too fast or something. That's the stipulation they had, is you can't have the hero kill the villain. So in this case, he flips the villain, but it's the hyenas who do the business. Man, that was quick. You guys had a baby quick. And there you go. Pretty much as soon as the villain dies, we do a celebration like the beginning, and then the movie's over. Hour and 23 minutes. An hour and 23 minutes, so it's almost like the Roger Corman's bit, when the monster's dead, the movie's over. You hear the bad guy's dead, a little bit of celebration, the movie's over. So there you go. I mean, I know I spent a bit of time looking into the backstory and the voice acting and stuff, because the film itself, I mean, to be honest, the film really does speak for its own. It really does do its own thing. It's one of those films that is a classic for a reason. It's a classic because colorful, vibrant animation that still holds up well as it did back in 1994. It holds up in 2025. And still looks so much better, so much more emotion on the characters' faces. so much more stories told just from the looks that the characters give to other characters, more so than the live action where like they're trying but they can't because of the way they're doing it. It was a pointless remake too. Just go back and watch the original. You see all the just again the vibrant colors are so much more beautiful, so much more eye-catching, so much more splendid to the eyeballs. Then the music, all the songs are catchy, all the songs work well for the film. I don't think there's a bad song in the movie. Plus the Hans Zimmer score, the voice acting, whether it be James Earl Jones or Jeremy Irons, he did these powerhouse voices. Jonathan Taylor Thomas works well. I don't mind Matthew Broderick, some do. I don't mind him. Yeah, likable characters like Timon and Pumbaa, which unlike the remake, they didn't have to resort to a ton of, well, whatever. I thought the humor worked better in this film. I thought the story has enough emotion. The death of Mufasa definitely hit a lot of kids back in the day. A bit of darkness and seriousness that catapults the story. So there's stakes involved, actual serious stakes involved to what's going on, to what's happening. It just all works out well for the viewer. It really, truly does. And I still think it works. And I don't really have much problems to say about the film. I really don't. But yeah, this was for a commentary. It has 30th anniversary last year. And actually, to give mention, this was released on in June 24th, which was the birthday of the person who requested this. So, very cool indeed. So, thank you once again. Hope you had a good birthday in June. Happy 4th of July to you, because they mentioned in the message, Happy 4th of July. Hope you had a happy 4th of July as well. Thank you. Take care. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.